I saved Alex again and again with loops, but he wanted to kill me for his first love. Let's talk about it next time. Chloe can't wait, she will die. Alex cut up my face with a blade and burned my chest with a cigarette butt. With my bloody video, he exchanged back his lover in the hands of the kidnapper. Later, he protected the self-directed and self-acted murderer behind him and frowned and accused me. Don't you still have a next chance? Chloe doesn't. I left with red eyes and didn't tell him that this was the last loop. After a long time, he remembered our agreement. It was Alex's turn to almost humbly beg for my whereabouts. Evelyn, didn't you say see you next time? 01 when I saved Alex from the car accident. He raised his bloodshot eyes and forcefully slapped away my hand. A red patch appeared on the back of my hand. The spark from the explosion fell on my skin, making me tremble with pain. Alex ignored it. Avoiding my physical contact, he stood up by himself. Seeing me following behind him, he finally turned around. Impatiently, he pushed me. Evelyn. He stood in front of me condescendingly and stepped on my still bleeding leg. Thank you for saving me again. Alex sarcastically pulled the corner of his lips. Do you think I would say that? Since I started looping at 16, Alex would always die in various accidents. I blocked for him again and again. I couldn't count how many times I was injured, and I died countless times for him. Alex doesn't need to know these. This time Alex was in a hurry to pick up someone coming back from abroad. He didn't let me follow, but I still secretly came. I guess the person he picked up should be very important, otherwise, he wouldn't have exceeded the speed limit. Seeing me silent, Alex got up uninterestedly. When he walked away, he kicked away a burning car body fragment. The heavy and rolling iron sheet hit me, and I almost immediately coughed up a mouthful of blood. Alex's steps paused. I subconsciously spoke in a joking tone. Don't worry, I won't die. I don't know if it's due to the side effects of multiple loops. Alex hates the word death very much. Whenever I say the word death, he will tell me to shut up. I always touch my nose in embarrassment and give him a candy to apologize. But Alex turned back, his eyes full of coldness. He grabbed my neck and pressed me hard to the ground. The sugar residue and glass shards mixed together made me ache all over. Of course you won't die, you just know that you won't die, so you want to use death to tease and torture me and Chloe, right? You are really a disgusting monster. Why aren't you the one who is kidnapped and threatened? I opened my mouth to deny. Alex's eyes became even colder. He took a deep breath and let me go. He drove and took me, who was weak and unconscious, back to Alex's house. When I woke up, Alex was sitting by my bed. It seemed that he had been looking at my wounds for a long time. Seeing me wake up, his hand holding the knife finally moved. 02 In fact, for more than 10 years when we were young, it was always Alex who said he would protect me. We are real childhood sweethearts. I am naturally afraid of pain and am often teased as a young lady who can't be bumped or touched. Some of these teasings are kind and some are malicious. Alex doesn't care so much. He protects me behind him. Evelyn has me, she won't be injured. I will protect her. Alex almost doesn't hide his protective and possessive desire for me. From childhood to adulthood, whether it's classmates or relatives and friends, they all know our relationship. The time I was almost hit by a car, Alex rushed over from the other side of the road without thinking and pushed me away. There was still blood flowing on his leg, but he helped me stand up. Alex quietly wiped his hand with his clothes corner before handing me the candy in his palm. Don't cry. I can still give you candy, which means I won't die. Alex hissed and pretended to smile relaxed. I am still afraid of death. While Alex likes dangerous sports, but for me, he gave up his favorite car racing. This was still told to me by his good brother, usually after evening self-study. I will walk with him and then part at each other's door and say see you next time. But that day I was angry because Alex hid this from me. I walked all the way by myself. Alex's injury wasn't healed. He limped and followed me all the way. I noticed it and deliberately snorted. If someone deceives me again, we will never see each other again next time. The night sky is full of stars. When I stopped and turned back, Alex suddenly rushed up, put his arm around my shoulder and hugged me into his arms. The young man happily hugged me tightly. He interlocked his left hand with mine and stuffed a handful of paper stars folded from candy wrappers into my right hand. Don't worry, for you, I dare not die. Forgive me for the sake of the stars. I still keep those candy wrappers and made a painting out of them. I forgave Alex. As usual, I said to him again, okay, see you next time. But on the next day, Alex went to car racing again. He had an accident. That was also the first time I entered a loop. I still didn't know what this meant. 03 Because of his injury, Alex needs to go to the hospital for treatment and injections. He disliked my cowardly look of being afraid of pain and death. He told me to pick him up after I was done so that I wouldn't cry. Alex lazily laughed on the phone. If you cry again, I don't have extra candy on me. Next time, when I bring enough candy, I'll let you accompany me again. I'll give you a surprise then. I muttered in a low voice, why can't it be this time? Is there something that needs to be prepared so solemnly? In the car, Alex's dad and my mom looked at each other and laughed. Alex's dad was driving and offered to take me to pick up Alex back, and my mom followed with fruits. My mom seemed to know Alex better than I did. As soon as she got out of the car, she asked me to take a large basket of fruits to find Alex. And she and Alex's dad waited for us outside. Before leaving, my mom avoided Alex's dad and quietly pulled me. Evelyn, you did a good job with Alex. My mom touched my arm where there was a scar. The only scar I left when Alex blocked the car for me. But there is a limit to pretending to be delicate. Alex isn't injured for the first time, right? You also have to block for him and get injured so that he will feel sorry for you. After saying that, my mom used a small knife to make several cuts on my arm. She taught me how to make Alex feel sorry for me, how to help her win over the young master of Alex's family so that she could move into Alex's house faster. I was stunned. It wasn't until Alex's dad called her that my mom stopped talking. They looked up and saw Alex standing not far away on the opposite side. Alex was wearing a hospital gown and his face was a little pale. I don't know how long he had been standing there or how much he had heard. My mom panicked. She pushed me towards Alex and hid herself behind Alex's dad, pretending to pay the bill. As soon as I let go of the basket in my hand, the fruits hit my feet and hurt. I ran towards Alex and carefully grabbed his arm. Alex said, "Don't cry. I won't die." Alex closed his eyes and pushed me away. Who was approaching. After all, if you die, my stepmother should blame me for not protecting you, this younger sister. Alex opened his eyes and smiled, emphasizing the words, stepmother, and younger sister, extremely. Seeing that he was about to leave and worried that he would get injured again, I quickly grabbed him. Where are you going? Alex calmly pushed me away. His palm was covered in blood. I couldn't tell if it was my blood or his hand pressed hard on my wound, and the strength on his hand scraped off a layer of my skin. Alex walked a long way before looking back and pulled the corner of his mouth at me. Going to car racing? Anyway, your fear of pain and death are all pretenses, then I don't have any scruples anymore, right? Alex glanced at me coldly, his tone sarcastic. Evelyn, for you, I'm also very tired of pretending. Fortunately, I don't need to pretend next time. He went to the racetrack. By the time I chased after him, the race was about to start. I couldn't stop him. But according to the regulations, before the race, the contestants need to hug their lovers to avoid irreversible results in case of an accident. Alex paused while putting on his hat. He saw me. He stepped forward and waved at me. He hugged another girl in front of me. Alex, is this the surprise you said you would give me when we see each other next time? 04 Alex accelerated and overtook like crazy on the racing car. Wild and beautiful, exciting and dangerous, this is his surprise for Chloe's return to the country and also a shock for me. Chloe is a young lady from a wealthy family and is well matched with Alex's family. If Alex's mother hadn't passed away and he hadn't moved to this small county town, Chloe should have been his childhood sweetheart. I clearly remember. Alex's car got faster and faster, almost creating sparks. At the moment when it crossed the finish line, his car exploded. I rushed into the sea of fire and tremblingly carried Alex out with my hands. It was also at that time that I awakened the loop system for the first time. Does the host want to use the loop opportunity? The system told me that looping has side effects. The timelines of everyone will be advanced, and the plot between Alex and me will change. And I used the loop without hesitation. After waking up, Alex and Chloe met in advance, and Chloe transferred to our school. But I didn't expect that Chloe would still ask to watch him race. I found Chloe and gently cut off her thought, but somehow rumors spread that I had bullied Chloe. When she came out, she was crying very sadly, her clothes were in disarray and she had injuries on her body. I didn't care about this because as long as Alex avoided the plot of dying in a car racing accident. Other things I didn't care, but Alex found me and told me with his actions that he cared. Alex glanced at me contemptuously and kicked me to the ground. He used a utility knife to cut open the bandage on my school uniform. He saw my wounds all over my body, which were the wounds from saving him in the last loop. This is also one of the side effects of looping. My wounds and pain will carry over to the next loop. I will feel pain twice. Alex just took a look and then withdrew his gaze. So ugly. And then he sneered. You're pretending more and more like it. Just when I was a little dazed, Alex squatted down. Suddenly, his fingers gently landed on my wound. Does it hurt? Because of my looping ability, Alex hasn't been like this to me for a long time. My eyes reddened. I felt Alex's care again after a long time. I shook my head. My voice was a little sour. It doesn't hurt. Of course it hurts. Alex should understand me. But Alex nodded and sneered. His fingers pressed hard on my wound. But Chloe is in great pain. Alex used a small knife to cut open my scabbed wound. With his other hand, he covered my trembling lips. However, Evelyn. Alex's movements were very slow. Just like bandaging me before, his movements were extremely meticulous. There was not an inch of my wound that was intact. Alex withdrew his hand. The tip of the knife playfully cut open the buttons of my school uniform. Your skin is so white, Evelyn. You are truly born for art. But now, you are really disgusting. You have insulted art. The smile on Alex's face suddenly faded. The small knife was aimed at my face. I endured the pain and begged him in the most humble tone, don't do this. I will really die. I want to be an actress. Alex has always known this. If my face is ruined, everything will be ruined. And the art college entrance examination interview is next week. I don't have a next chance. Alex lifted my chin. His breath was on my face. Warm and patient. Just like before, as if he was gently comforting me, telling me not to be afraid of pain because he was there. When I tried to say something, Alex covered my lips and clicked his tongue, so noisy. Unimportant words can be said next time. What I want to say to Alex is not unimportant. On the contrary, I want to tell him the absurd truth of looping. If it's Alex, he will believe me. But before I could tell him, Alex died in front of me again because of Chloe. This time, he blocked the knife of the gangsters for Chloe. I started the second loop. The plot advanced again. Chloe returned to the country and transferred to school in advance and became a classmate in the next class to Alex. Before the gangsters appeared, I drove them away with money in advance. And when I was congratulating myself that Alex could be spared from death, a sneer came from behind. Alex guarded Chloe behind him warily. His eyes fell on the money in my hand. Evelyn. You are really a born actress. Pretending to be in pain, bullying, hiring people with money. What else can't you do? Alex and I haven't seen each other for a long time. The last time we met was when he saw me, cheating money. He went home for a family reunion dinner. In the middle, he saw me dancing and performing for Alex's dad. When I came out, Alex came out from the corner and threw a handful of money in my face. Evelyn, the way you please my dad for money is really disgusting. I didn't refute Alex. I didn't tell him that the money was the life-saving money for him and Chloe. That group of gangsters extorted 100,000 yuan from me. Alex protected me for the first 16 years. Just like being addicted to candy, I was greedy for his warmth and didn't want to cut off the close connection between him and me. That looping ability made me think that I could become the one to protect him in turn. But with only the money I saved up by myself, I couldn't save Alex. In addition, in the first loop, Alex cut my face. The doctor said that the wound reached the bone and needed anesthesia and suture treatment. I didn't choose anesthesia because this way I could save the money for imported anesthesia. With this saved money, I could just gather 100,000 yuan. Although I didn't have anesthesia, I still hurt now. Fortunately, before the operation, I ate a candy that I had saved. Thinking that as long as Alex was safe, I could find an opportunity to explain everything clearly to him. I could get a lot of candies from Alex again. So many that I could forget this pain. But my silence pushed Alex away again. Obviously the gangsters took the money and Alex was safe, but I lost the chance to explain next time. I became the person in the rumors who hired gangsters with money to bully Chloe. I also became the villain who broke up a loving couple. I was isolated and bullied by people at school. I was always knocked down intentionally or unintentionally when walking. On the way home, my classmates' bicycles deliberately brushed past my calves and arms. There were bloodstains left. In the end, I was in so much pain that I sat by the roadside. The wound that was cut open in the first loop hadn't healed yet, and now there were new wounds. Fortunately, the wound on my face had almost recovered and I could catch up with tomorrow's audition recording. But when I saw Chloe, I realized that things might not be going so smoothly. I was isolated by the school because of those rumors, and they temporarily canceled the recording classroom I borrowed. Chloe came out of the next classroom and smiled as she pulled me in. They are so unkind. Let's share a classroom. By the way, where's your acting partner? She pulled on the wound on my hand. I endured the pain and didn't make a sound. I walked into the classroom and saw Alex leaning inside. He was wearing a suit that matched Chloe very well. He was Chloe's partner. And he was also my original partner. For the art college entrance examination, a video of acting skills needs to be recorded. The topic that both Chloe and I drew was love and life and death separation. I thought of Alex almost instantly. Facing my request, Alex surprisingly gave me room to consider. I'll tell you when we see each other next time. I thought this was his trust in me. I thought that the side effects of looping couldn't overcome our feelings. But Chloe found Alex, and Alex immediately agreed to her on the spot. The classroom was very empty. There were only the three of us. Chloe was going to perform life separation, which was the scene when she confessed to Alex when she was about to go abroad. I sat on the floor in the corner and watched them get closer little by little. I pinched myself hard and used pain to force myself to calm down. Just as they were about to kiss, Chloe suddenly stopped. It seems like something is missing as a prop. Evelyn, I see you have candies in your pocket. Can I borrow them? Instinctively, I protected my pocket. But Chloe said something that made me let go in a daze. Do you know why my performance of life separation was so smooth just now? Because Alex really came and begged me not to go abroad. I thought only looping would irresistibly change the plot. I didn't expect that people's hearts would also change actively. When I didn't know, Alex actively got closer to Chloe. Taking advantage of my distraction, Chloe took out the square candy box in my pocket. I came to my senses and hurriedly stood up, trying to stop her from opening the lid. Chloe stood still and didn't dodge. I pushed her to the ground. The box also rolled to our feet. I wanted to pick up the candy box. But when I reached out my hand, it was stepped on hard by a foot. Alex's angry voice sounded above my head. Evelyn. Your methods are really dirty. As if to vent anger for Chloe, Alex stepped on my hand with his shoe and ground it. I was in so much pain that I was covered in cold sweat. It took me a long time to recover. I saw Alex carefully picking up Chloe. Evelyn, just for a box of candies, are you going to push people? Chloe gave a weak smile and pulled his sleeve to defend me. There might be other things in the box. I took it without asking Evelyn clearly. I hope the things inside aren't broken. After Chloe finished speaking, she was about to open the box. I forced myself to stand up and was about to snatch it. Alex stood in front of me. His expression when looking at me seemed mocking and puzzled. What's so important about a box of candies? Just buy it again next time. I didn't speak. Perhaps it was because my throat was full of the taste of blood. It was so bitter that I couldn't speak. The candy box was opened. The portrait made of candy wrappers that was pressed under the candies was taken out by Chloe. Chloe deliberately held up the painting high so that Alex could also see it. Then she winked at him and said, Alex, look, what a childish thing. Ha ha ha. Alex frowned and his gaze fell on the painting. In the sunlight, Alex's outline overlapped with the portrait on the candy wrapper painting. Chloe flipped over the candy wrapper and saw the words I wrote on the back of the candy wrapper. I couldn't count how many times I had gone through loops. Looping also had side effects on me personally. My memory started to get confused. I didn't become immune to pain because of death. On the contrary, I became more and more afraid of pain and also liked eating candies more and more. Every time I was reborn in a loop, I would buy a candy by myself and write down the number of loops and memories on the back of the candy wrapper. Alex and I. One of us has to remember these things. I would wait for him. Wait for the day when the loop ends. Confess to him and tell him everything when we see each other next time. Just like before my wounds healed, I wouldn't reveal these to Alex. But now, Chloe tore open my wound. And told Alex. I didn't know what Alex would think of me. After all, after many loops and continuous chaos in the plot, my image in his eyes should not be good. Sure enough, Alex's gaze when looking at me was scrutinizing. Loop? My fingers trembled. I only felt that the wounds left by each loop started to hurt again. The pain made my breathing tremble. I didn't even have the strength to look at Alex. Will you believe it? Alex flicked the candy wrapper with his finger. Several candy wrappers flew out like dead butterflies falling. Of course I believe it. Alex curved his lips, but the smile in his eyes didn't reach the bottom. Isn't this part of your acting? As an audience, I almost believed it. The performance of saving a childhood sweetheart through a death loop. This performance of a tragic separation is quite touching. Alex sneered. He thought my performance just now was all acting. Alex looked at the candy painting around and disgustedly pulled the corner of his mouth. Also, using leftover candy wrappers to stick on me. Alex walked to the window. Looking back at me, he smiled. You are still so disgusting. Alex threw the candy wrapper painting downstairs. The candy painting fell into the garbage dump downstairs and was quickly pushed into the incinerator by the cleaner. The plastic candy wrappers were mixed with other garbage. The burning emitted a pungent and astringent smell. The black smoke made me want to cry. Alex also poured out the remaining candies in the candy box. He picked up one casually and sighed, after eating so many candies, aren't you tired of it? Moreover, expired candies can't be eaten anymore. What's the point of keeping them? After saying that, Alex kindly poured those candies into the trash can for me. All he left me was an empty box with only the smell of candy. But when I lowered my head and hugged the box, I suddenly realized. I didn't seem to like eating candies that much anymore. I have been eating candies for more than 10 years. It's really quite tiresome. The Alex from the past has long died on the eve of the first loop. Now what I am guarding is just an empty shell. I held the box and went home. A few days later, Alex died in front of me again because of Chloe. This time, I heard the system's voice coming from Chloe as well. Warning, the host's option for Conquer Alex is incorrect. The male lead Alex is about to enter a death ending. Does the host want to link to Evelyn's save point and let Evelyn enter the loop so that the host can reload? At the same time, my system also rang and asked me if I wanted to loop again to save him. Once again become Chloe's save point. 08 Chloe was still waiting anxiously on her side. But she didn't seem to be in that much of a hurry because she knew that I would take the initiative to enter the loop to save Alex and take the initiative to become the save point for her to restart the strategy. Chloe seemed to be struggling with where she made a mistake in the strategy. I have suppressed Evelyn so many times. How come every time after Evelyn dies, Alex still suddenly has emotional fluctuations? Through the conversation between the system and Chloe, I understood the truth of the loop. Our world is a plot game. Alex is the male lead, and Chloe is the strategist. As the male lead, Alex actually has such a high favorability with a female NPC. Clearly, I am the female lead, but thanks to the favorability between this NPC and the male lead, she is willing to enter the loop point for the male lead. Otherwise, I wouldn't know on whom to install the save point. Host, you should be more careful next time. Evelyn has looped many times and her injury value is too high. Her save attribute is almost worn out. Moreover, the male lead's data is also almost broken. The host must conquer Alex in the next loop. Otherwise, the consequences are unimaginable. It turns out that after I died in each loop, Chloe's strategy would always go wrong. After my death, Alex would suddenly remember memories with me and have huge emotional fluctuations, which would lead Chloe to enter Alex's death ending. Fortunately, Chloe can use me to reload. As I loop each time, she can follow and reload, enter an earlier timeline to meet Alex. Replace all the plots about me with Alex, and make Alex have no emotions for me at all. The expression on my face collapsed little by little, seeing me running over and squatting in front of Alex who was covered in blood. Chloe smiled. It seemed that everything was under her control. I wiped the blood off Alex's face for him. But no matter how hard I tried to be calm, my hands were trembling uncontrollably. How absurd. Why did I loop again and again? I saved Alex, but I pushed him further and further away. Why is the reversal of the plot always effective for Chloe? Why do I accumulate injuries all over my body because of looping? My memory is easily confused. I thought it was because Alex had blocked too many injuries for me in the first 10 years. I owed him. So I should go and save him. I thought it was because I failed to protect the memories with Alex. I hated myself for being too afraid of pain and too cowardly. But now, I sighed and squatted in front of Alex. Wiped the blood off his face for him. Alex, I am afraid of pain. There is no next time. This is really the last time I save you. I closed my eyes and whispered in Alex's ear, start the last loop. 09. This is my last loop, and it's also Chloe's last chance to conquer. Chloe was obviously anxious because of this. She designed a kidnapping scene, lured Alex to race to save her. Although I knew it was Chloe's trick, I still went to save Alex. I couldn't watch Alex die in front of me. But I didn't expect that Alex would go so far for Chloe. He really wanted to kill me. Sorry. Chloe is a child who is afraid of pain. The kidnappers can't wait. Chloe can't wait either. Alex held the small knife tightly and opened the videotape with a calm expression. The small knife in his hand cut my face. The lit cigarette but burned on my skin. While Alex was calmly hurting me, he coldly scolded me as deserving to die. I remembered the memories of the last loop. My eyelashes trembled. A drop of tear fell on the wound on my face. It really hurts. The loop was started by you, right? Evelyn, how many times have you pulled me and Chloe into the loop? Why have you become so vicious? Enduring the pain, I pulled the corner of my lip and sneered, Alex, you don't know anything. Perhaps my smile was too ugly and strange. Or perhaps I had never spoken to Alex in such a disappointed tone. Alex rarely looked at me. There was surprise in his eyes as if he didn't know me. But after being surprised for a while, he calmed down and sat in front of me to check the video. Evelyn, if you are lucky enough to survive and don't pull me and Chloe into the loop again, I will let you go next time. Alex said this to me pityingly, as if putting aside those pasts. He sent out the bloody video and successfully retrieved Chloe. After Chloe came back, she pulled Alex into my room and said she wanted to thank me. In fact, it was to show off. Chloe was holding Alex's arm and deliberately came close to me to show off. For her showing off, I always listened calmly. My eyes looking at Alex became calmer day by day. My feelings for Alex were gradually stripped away from my heart. Chloe jokingly said with a smile, "Isn't Evelyn fond of eating candies? You can come and eat the wedding candies of me and Alex next time." No need. I don't have a next time. Alex seemed to have noticed my abnormality too, but he didn't ask anything. It wasn't until I said this sentence that Alex's eyes fell on my pale face. He keenly sensed something was wrong. His fingers hanging by the side of his suit moved as if he wanted to come forward and ask me. Warning, the male lead's emotions are extremely chaotic. The plot is facing the danger of collapse. If the plot collapses, the protagonist's data will be treated as a bug. Please ask the host to stabilize the male lead's emotions in time. Seeing this, Chloe became anxious and quickly shouted at me, "Evelyn, shut up." But her appearance only made Alex more irritable. Chloe also realized that her behavior didn't match her usual persona. She quickly and pitifully held Alex's hand and explained, I I just escaped from the kidnappers and was a bit overly frightened. Sorry. I still feel a bit uncomfortable. Why don't we go back first and let Evelyn have a good rest? Alex stood still and his eyes were still fixed on me. After a long time, Alex nodded slightly and left with Chloe. The fact that both I and Chloe were brought back to Alex's house by Alex was known. Although I am Alex's stepdaughter, I rarely return to Alex's house. Only in the world line of the first loop would I come to Alex's house because I brought something for Alex. In other loop world lines, Alex hates me very much. My mom, in order to keep her position, doesn't want to make Alex angry and strictly forbids me from returning to Alex's house. At first, the servants in Alex's house were a bit strange because in their memories, my relationship with Alex was very good. After hearing these words, Alex sneered. He said, "Evelyn? Her name is as disgusting as she is. Don't mention her again in the future." Someone inquired about the things between me and Alex. Of course, in the end, all they got was the news that I bullied Chloe. Everyone understood and their evaluations of me also changed to Evelyn, the stepdaughter in Alex's family. I didn't expect her to be so disgusting. Isn't she afraid of pain? How could she have the heart to hurt Chloe? I heard these words from afar. But now, when I return to Alex's house, through the door, I clearly hear their insults. Alex was very cruel to me. He was also unwilling to take me to the hospital and only allowed the family doctor to take a look at me. My wound couldn't be treated. The pain was so intense that I could only lie on the bed. When a maid was changing my clothes and saw the terrifying wound on my body, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak. But as soon as she closed the door, I heard her say to others, "Oh my God, what a good retribution. I heard that Evelyn used to bully Miss Chloe. Now she is also getting her retribution. Surely it's because she caused trouble herself that she was retaliated against." Ha ha ha. The door wasn't closed properly. I saw their laughing faces. I also saw Alex standing outside the door. He didn't stop those servants. He just looked at me through the door. 11 The people in Alex's house avoided me like the plague. There were very few visitors. One was Chloe. She wandered outside my door from time to time, talked to the system, and inquired about my situation. Is it because it's the last loop? Alex's emotions are too unstable. What if he really collapses? I don't want to be erased and be trapped in the game. Is Evelyn really going to die? Can't she let me save once? Oh my God, why is she so useless? Okay. Then I'll make the best use of her. Finally, use her to stimulate Alex again and see if I can increase Alex's favorability. Chloe's goal was very clear. Before going to bed at night, she deliberately opened my door a crack, so that I could see clearly her coquettishness towards Alex. Then she deliberately turned her head and accused me of peeking at her sweet interaction with Alex. "Alex, does Evelyn still like you?" Chloe spoke in a joking tone and nudged Alex's waist. Alex lowered his eyes and sneered. The contempt in his eyes for me was almost tangible. Alex came over and closed my door. "Don't pay attention to her." Outside, Chloe happily smiled and followed Alex away. Not long after they left, I usher in another visitor, my mom. When my mom saw me covered with a quilt, she was so angry that she hit me. "You stupid girl, didn't I tell you not to easily return to Alex's house? Do you know how much trouble you have caused me? Evelyn, after so many years, what's really going on between you and Alex? Haven't you learned how to get injured to make a man feel sorry for you?" My mom scolded me nonstop and angrily sat by my bed. "Why are you still hiding under the quilt and not talking? Come out." I calmly lifted the quilt. First, I revealed the wound on my face. Then, in her shocked gaze, I slowly lifted the quilt further, revealing the wounds on my hands, feet, all the big and small wounds. "Mom." I looked at my mom and smiled while gently pulling at the wound. "Are these wounds enough?" My mom was stunned. She was stunned for a long time. Then tears welled up. "You, as a girl, how can you have so many wounds? Aren't you still going to be an actress? How can this work?" My mom said in a flustered manner. But in the end, she couldn't say anything anymore. She could only carefully stretch out her hand and hug me into her arms. "Does it hurt?" I didn't answer my mom's questions. I just glanced at the door. Mom, Alex won't feel sorry for me anymore. He just wants me to die. My mom was so confused by the wounds on my body. She nodded along in a daze and echoed me, then forget about Alex. Let's ignore him. 12. To comfort my mom, I forced myself to stay awake and chat for a long time. When I finally sent my mom away, I was so tired that I didn't even apply medicine before falling directly asleep. Half asleep and half awake, the buttons on my chest were slowly undone. The wind at night was very cool and made me shiver. Suddenly, a warm breeze blew closer. I heard someone click their tongue impatiently. Then, the cold and stinging alcohol was directly splashed on my skin. The pain made me open my eyes directly and wake up from the nightmare. Opening my eyes, I met Alex's pitch-black eyes. Evelyn, you are so good at pretending in front of your mom too. Alex overheard the conversation between me and my mom. He sneaked into my room in the middle of the night and tortured me in the name of applying medicine. He didn't use a cotton swab. Instead, he directly splashed alcohol and then pressed hard on my wound with his finger. Don't pay attention to me? Alex laughed. Evelyn, know your place. Although I hate you, only I have the right to ignore you. I looked up and calmly looked at Alex's face, trying to find the outline of the childhood sweetheart from his face. If you don't die and don't start the loop again, next time I can reluctantly agree to act out a scene of reconciliation in front of your mom. I shook my head and pushed Alex away. I called Alex's name and said softly, I really don't have it and don't want to have a next time with you. Alex got angry and stood up. Okay, then you will be hated by me forever. I don't want to act out a scene of reconciliation. I'd rather he hate me. Because I also hate him, hate this Alex now. 13. Alex was angered by me and left. In the following days, he was busy preparing a ceremony for Chloe. Without my competition, Chloe was admitted to her favorite art college with high scores. She coquettishly asked Alex to build up momentum for her and hold a highly anticipated ceremony. Alex naturally agreed and also used the resources of Alex's family to gather many media. Alex made a video call to me. In the video, Chloe was beaming as she accepted the congratulations from the media. Chloe's strategy was about to succeed. Last night, she showed off to the system. As soon as the ceremony ended, she would, System? Let the system forcibly start another loop and let me see Evelyn. Chloe was choked until she had difficulty breathing and begged Alex to let her go, but Alex didn't loosen his grip. I don't know if it was because he was worried that Chloe would really be choked to death or to maintain Alex's emotions. The system really announced the truly last loop. The plot has seriously collapsed and there is a major bug. The system will force everyone to start the last loop. 15. Each loop will advance the timeline. This time, the system brought us back to when we were 16 years old, when Alex made a promise to protect me. Chloe also returned to this time and became our neighbor. This time point can be said to be extremely favorable for Chloe. She can smoothly replace all my plots and completely make Alex forget me. Sure enough, after a few weeks of contact with Alex, Chloe found me triumphantly. Evelyn, you are just an NPC. I am the protagonist. Look, the system has forcibly started the last loop for me. Chloe was very satisfied. This time the timeline has been advanced to Alex's youth. Just watch how I replace your existence. After saying all this, Chloe boringly patted my face again. You have lost your memory and are just an ordinary NPC. You should not understand these. It's boring. Chloe was about to leave after speaking, but my words made her freeze. I said, Chloe, this time you must let me eat the wedding candies of you and Alex. Chloe's feet stopped in place. She turned her head and her expression became terrified. She couldn't believe how I could have memory. Regarding this, Chloe's system explained very officially, there is a major bug in the system and it may have been invaded by an unknown virus. It is possible for an NPC to have all the memories of loops. This system is not responsible for correcting bugs. The host can repair the bug by working hard to capture the male lead. Chloe watched me approach step by step. Her body couldn't stop trembling and she wanted to escape. But the door behind her was closed. Chloe looked at me. She didn't dare to turn her head to see who closed it. Because I have memory, it means Alex may also have memory. I kindly turned her body for her and pushed Chloe towards Alex, who was blocking the classroom door. I smiled and bumped into Alex and told him, "Excuse me. I won't disturb you and Chloe. My mom is calling me home for dinner." Alex subconsciously reached out to grab me, but when he was about to touch me, his hand stopped in the air. "Evelyn, see you next time." I smiled and didn't answer his sentence. 16. The consequence of forced looping is that all three of us have all the memories of looping. To atone, Alex began to torture and retaliate against Chloe. He deliberately waited until the timeline when the gangsters appeared and watched Chloe being bullied as planned. When I passed by the alley after class, Alex protected me behind him. He clearly knew that the targets of those gangsters were not me, but he acted as if he was protecting me. Facing my mocking eyes, Alex explained dryly, "Evelyn, that person is so disgusting. I don't want you to see her." Chloe was beaten and bleeding. Her blood splashed on my face. Seeing this, Alex carefully wiped my face with his fingertip. I avoided him. I took out a tissue and looked up at him and said, "Dirty." Alex was rarely stunned in place. He didn't know if I was talking about the blood or about him. But Alex knew that it would be very difficult for me to forgive him. In fact, Alex was really pitifully arrogant. He didn't know anything. He just blindly punished Chloe in a way he thought was reasonable, thinking that this could make up for the crimes he had committed against me. But in fact, he still didn't realize that the real perpetrator was not Chloe, but himself. After thinking through these things, I no longer felt sorry for Alex's injuries for me. Alex always walked silently about 10 meters away from me, looking at my back from afar and rushing towards me at the first moment of danger. He covered his bleeding wound and looked up at me with half-closed eyes and smiled. "Evelyn, look, I protected you. I remember my promise to you. You are afraid of pain." Alex sat on the ground, looking up at me with his bleeding legs and his arms. His face had returned to 16 years old, the most youthful and most captivating appearance to me. But I never clearly realized that my former childhood sweetheart had long died in the midsummer before 16. The Alex I loved didn't die in the loops again and again, but died in my memories. He died in the most beautiful way. And now Alex only makes me feel disgusted. Seeing that there was no fluctuation on my face, Alex's eyes moved and he pulled down his trouser leg to cover the blood. "Was it my ugly wound that scared you? Evelyn, I brought you candy. Do you want it? If it's not enough, there will be more next time." In Alex's outstretched hand was my favorite candy. "Alex." I called him. Alex panicked. "This candy is not expired, Evelyn." I shook my head and just smiled and told him, "I just don't like eating candies anymore. We have looped so many times. We have long passed the age when we liked eating candies the most." 17. Alex was very afraid of seeing me. He was afraid that I would get farther and farther away from him. In the past, Alex hated returning to Alex's house the most, but now because of me, he often returns to Alex's house. Because this is one of his rare opportunities to see me. At the Mid-Autumn family banquet, Alex came back with gifts. As soon as he entered the door, he gave me a gift. The box was a luxury brand and looked very expensive. In fact, since the loop, Alex has given me many things as compensation. He gave me all the resources he gave to Chloe in the Last World line. I didn't refuse. It's just that I didn't open any of those things and sold them all. I don't want to have any connection with Alex. My mom doesn't have the memory of looping. She happily nudged me and asked me to thank Alex. Holding the gift, I smiled at Alex and said, "Thank you, stepbrother." Alex's originally smiling expression instantly froze. I tilted my head and called him stepbrother again in front of everyone in Alex's family. Alex pulled the corner of his mouth. My address made him not very happy. At the dinner table, I thanked this stepbrother politely and distantly for his care. Alex's dad and my mom were very satisfied. Only Alex was silent. He sipped the red wine in his glass and looked at me with some loneliness in his eyes. At midnight, Alex followed me upstairs. Evelyn, can't we really go back to the past? I looked at him with a smile and deliberately followed his words. Aren't we back to the past now? Alex grabbed my hand. His eyelashes trembled. He was very aggrieved. But you won't say see you next time to me anymore, won't keep looking at me anymore, and won't cry because I'm injured anymore. The fearless Alex showed a hint of confusion and perplexity. He asked me, what can I do for you to forgive me? I also lowered my eyes and twisted off Alex's hand. I imitated Alex's superior appearance. Only this time it was my turn to say to him, Alex, go and experience the injuries I have suffered. If you still don't die, I will reluctantly act out a scene of reconciliation with you. 18. Alex did as I said. He began to self-harm. He cut open his skin with a small knife. Then, imitating what he did to me at that time, he poured alcohol on the wound. He also burned his body with a cigarette butt. In just a few days, Alex's body was covered with hundreds of big and small wounds. Alex came to me with wounds all over his body and blood. He showed me the scars on his body. Kneeling on the ground, he sincerely held my hand and tremblingly begged me to forgive him. Evelyn, are these scars enough? I calmly withdrew my hand and nodded gently. As Alex wished, I played the scene of reconciliation with him. Alex was very happy. He always pulled people and pointed at me to show off. That's Evelyn, my beloved childhood sweetheart. We have made up. Relatives, friends, and people around shook their heads helplessly and laughed at Alex for having a young heart. What's so good about this to show off? Later, after a long time, Alex made me a big star. Alex was covered with scars. He didn't dare to stand by my side. He just silently acted as my agent and financial backer. Alex protected me crazily and spent money on me. He wanted to make up for the mistakes in those loop lines in this way. Relatives, friends, and people around began to laugh at him, but Alex didn't care. Alex replied to them like this, as long as I do enough this time, one day, Evelyn will forgive me. But he gradually discovered one thing. My so-called non-resistance is only that I don't resist him following behind me. I still won't turn back for him anymore. In the script I received as an actress, there was an ambiguous scene with an actor. Alex privately deleted that scene for me. But unexpectedly, afterwards, the young actor found me and asked me if that scene really wouldn't be performed anymore. This young actor is my fan. When the young man spoke, there was a shy expression on his face. This angered Alex. Finally, one day, Alex couldn't bear it anymore and took me out of Alex's house. He imprisoned me. When I woke up, Alex had locked me alone in the villa. And he leaned in front of my bed. When he saw me wake up, the scalpel in his hand moved. But this time, Alex put the scalpel against his own body. Alex knelt in front of my bed. He should haven't slept well for a long time. There were dark circles under his once fair face, and his complexion was also pale. The most astonishing thing should be Alex's flamboyant eyes. Like extinguished flames, there was only a grayish color left. I want you to forgive me, Alex begged. I want you to forgive me, Alex begged in the most humble voice. Evelyn, even if you want me to die. I stared at Alex's face and laughed. The once arrogant Alex shed tears. He carefully held me in his arms. Alex rested his chin on my shoulder. His eyes were red and he begged for my forgiveness over and over again in a low voice. He was like a believer, praying for the crimes he had committed over the years. After a long time, Alex suppressed his crying and slowly released me. He clenched the small knife in his hand as if possessed. He cut the skin on his neck with the small knife. Is it only when I die that Evelyn you can forgive me? If I die, Evelyn, please forgive me. Since torturing Chloe to death, Alex has been torturing himself these years. He has experienced all the injuries I suffered back then. But even so, I still didn't forgive him. Alex gradually became paranoid. At the end of the road, Alex thought of the only way to make me forgive him. That is for him to die. Alex's knife approached the artery inch by inch, and there was more and more blood on his body. When he was really about to kill himself, I spoke. Enough, Alex. Alex's little finger trembled suddenly. His eyes shone brightly and he looked up at me. But my next sentence completely plunged him into an ice cellar. If you die, the world will collapse. This is my last and only living world. Are you going to destroy it? Alex is not stupid. He knows what my words mean. Alex is the male lead. Once he dies, unimaginable collapses will occur in the world. If Alex dies, it is equivalent to destroying Evelyn with his own hands. Alex bent down and curled himself up in pain. The small knife in his hand fell and pierced his thigh. The carpet was stained red with Alex's blood. Alex curled up and sobbed softly. I can never atone for my sins. Alex looked up, too painful to hold me. Evelyn, I can never be forgiven by you. We really don't have a next time. Alex lived a painful life all his life. He was covered with wounds. As he grew older, the pain became more and more intense. Several times, Alex was given a critical illness notice. I heard the system ask me, does the host need to start the loop again to save Alex? A long time ago, I invaded the system and became a bug in the system. I have the ability to loop again, but I don't want to save Alex anymore. And he doesn't need me to save him. Don't worry. Even for me, he won't die. Alex used all means to prolong his life. He lived painfully forever. And I stood in the sunlight and pressed the button to turn off the system. From now on, there is no loop. But Evelyn restarted her life.